Episode 23 of the Utility Players Podcast. We got Ben, Danny Fort, myself. What is going on, guys?
What's good? Episode 23. Jordan, baby.
Oh, yes. I know.
You just realized.
I have one more day of work this week and then another 4-day weekend. So
Nice. You got any plans?
Pumped. Yeah, it's actually my wife's birthday on Friday.
Okay.
And so we got a little family dinner, a lot of family. So there's going to be like 25 of us that I'm having for her. And then my mom's coming up on Friday for the weekend to stay with us. Just kind of hang out and chill. So I don't know what we're going to do. Just kind of hang out with my mom.
Probably some good food.
For sure. That's my weekend. I always tell people I eat good during the week and I stay strict because then I go ham on the weekends.
Yeah, there's no diets on the weekend.
I do the same.
No.
I try to be good and diet on the weekday when I can control it,
Right.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But I'm always open to anything on the weekend usually. So I live by that.
I think it's important in life to have discipline aspects in your life, to have that discipline. And so I like doing it during the week and then rewarding yourself for being disciplined.
Yeah.
I think you just go crazy all the time. Then it's like, where are your limitations here?
Yeah,
for sure.
100%.
First of all, if you guys are watching, especially, and then listening to us, obviously we don't have Gravy on the pod this episode. If he's done doing the responsibilities he's got going on that he needed to do, he'll hop in mid-episode. But it's just us three rocking. So speaking of what kind of our week is, tomorrow I'm going to Puerto Rico, week vacation, which is going to be fun. Like 30 people are coming, kind of random. It became a planned situation, but became random with the people that are joining us. So it's going to be fun, family time. I'm going to record episode 24 in Puerto Rico in a hotel. So
that's commitment right there. If I was in Puerto Rico,
Right.
I would not be recording no episodes.
Right.
Honestly,
I
I've learned
probably
that
still record it.
Go ahead.
I just don't know what kind of like you would get from it. You might get, I might have had 20 tequila sunrises deep in me.
For
At
real.
least.
So
Well, we're doing a lot of activities during the day and stuff. So I think it's going to be probably not a lot of waking up and going to day drink. So we're doing like wake up, do some activities like zip line, ATV, stuff like that, caves, and then kind of come back and regroup and stuff like that. So hopefully I'll be a little intoxicated, but yeah, that'll be fun to do that.
Are you going with family?
It's actually
your first time there. I have so many questions.
Yeah, it started off as a trip that was for someone's birthday, and then their family wanted to come, more of their family. Then when friends heard about it, they wanted to join in. So it was a normal planned trip when it's first started, the idea of 6 to 8 people. Now it's at 30. So we're going to it's a large mix of other people's family and friends that we consider our family down here in Florida. So it's going to be a good quality trip. I think nobody's been out of the country. I know this isn't technically out of the country, but it's outside the intercontinental US. And none of us has gone on a trip in a while. So it's kind of like almost a regrouping, I guess you would say. Like, I feel like a lot of trips are necessary right now.
It's going to feel refreshing.
I'm dying to go on a trip. I do a lot to go on a trip.
Where would you go?
When's the last time you went on?
It's been a long time. I mean, there's difference. Well, I guess I went to Arizona.
Oh yeah.
Earlier this year, but I've never actually been out of the country, and so
Ever?
It's been my dream. Never. No.
Like what?
No, never.
See that for me, that's mind blowing because I'm like, what do you mean by that? Do you mean like you went to Alaska, Puerto Rico, and Hawaii, or like you've never gone?
I've never been to either three of those states. So I've been to. Wow, I've traveled all around the country. Before I met my current job, I used to, for about 4 or 5 years, I traveled the entire country. All the time. I used to spend a lot of time in Jacksonville, so I have a lot of comments about that place. Yeah, but I've never actually left the United States. And I mean, I grew up really poor, so we didn't, our vacations consisted of places around Iowa or Illinois, or, then as I got older, we started to go other places. But then I've never been out, and it's something that I know I've talked to my wife about, hopefully in the future here, it's something that we wanted to make a goal of try to leave the country at least once. I mean, once every year, go to a new place.
It's good to get like culture.
Yes.
See how other people in different places live. Because if you don't get any of that, like, what's the point?
Right. Hey, damn it. I wasn't going to say it, but you just triggered me for it. Damn.
Why not? Go ahead. Why not?
I like it.
What you said right there is exactly what I was kind of talking about before we started this, before we recorded, how we're talking about some of my comments last week about America and whatever. Yeah, I love America. I don't buy into the whole cultural thing that you see here where everybody's like, America's the best country in the world. We're better than everybody. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you can say that if you haven't visited all the other countries.
Yeah, if you haven't been anywhere else,
right?
Of course.
How do I know what's better if I haven't visited everything else? If I go to one pizza restaurant and I eat their pizza and then I go and proclaim that it's the best pizza in the world, but that's the only pizza I've ever eaten, I haven't eaten other pizzas, how am I qualified enough to say that that is the best in the world? So you only know that by traveling a lot and going. That's why I always admired Anthony Bourdain, and I was obsessed with that guy because he lived a life that I would want to live. And if you're going to ask somebody what is the best place in that aspect, he would be someone that I would go to because he's been to so many places.
I got two things on that.
Yeah, you don't know unless you spend a lot of time there, really understand the place either. And so hopefully one day, when I'm 150, I'll have traveled to all the countries in the world.
The world. So two things on that. Outside of your story, obviously you had a humble upcoming spread out in different states, but it's funny when you first said that, I was like, damn, you're living that typical Iowa. I've never been out of this, not out of the state, but like out of the country. You haven't seen the world. But obviously knowing you, if that would have been the first thing you said to me, I would have probably prejudged you a lot, 4 months ago. But now that I know how cultured you are and how open-minded you are, you're definitely not that, you're not that typical Iowa or central USA. I haven't been anywhere. And the second thing was Anthony Bourdain, little life lesson for everybody and appreciate life, had the best life, job, occupation in the entire world, a lifestyle that everybody would dream of, got paid great money, and yet he took his own life. So that's a lesson right there that always reminds me when his name is brought up is just because people got money, everything you think they want doesn't mean they're happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally. Well, one, Ray, I appreciate that. And I really do. It means a lot because my whole life growing up, and I fortunately have been out of this state and seen so many different things within the country, but still out of the state. And so you explore. But I know people in this state that have never left ever. And, that stay in certain areas. And that's tough for me because you don't get to have those experiences, which I think are so important. And I think a lot of it has to do when I was growing up, I always felt different and out of place here. And so my whole goal was to leave, which is funny. Growing up, and I did for a while. I lived in Phoenix for a bit, but I ended up back here. So,
yeah, when I worked at my former place of employment, whenever I would like talk to people and I would kind of like get to know them and whatnot, they're like, "Yeah, I'm born and raised here. I've never left." I'm like, "What? Why?" Like, you got to do something to, I don't know, at least go to Atlanta or go to North Carolina or something. It's close, but. I mean, I've only left the country when I was younger and just back to Cuba a few times, maybe like 8, 9, 10 years ago when I went the last time. And then when I lived in Nicaragua for 2 years, but that's about it. I've traveled a little bit in the States, but I haven't traveled as much as I would have liked to. I probably will now though, because I work remote. So definitely going to take advantage of that shit.
No, I think that's a good segue in speaking of, Cuba.
Yeah, that was going to be the first topic I was going to lead up with today. So you guys can
I don't think there's anybody more qualified to talk about it. I've been paying a lot of attention. I mean,
thank you.
I won't say. I'm not going to steal thunder. I've been paying a lot of attention the
go
last
ahead.
couple of days of what's going on. Will also admit I've known about a lot of the Cuban problems and the problems in Cuba for a long time. But with all this stuff coming back to light, I've really been paying a lot more attention to it. So feel free to kind of explain.
It's been going on for, man, I mean, forever, pretty much, like since before my parents were born. Communist regime took over like late 1950s. My parents were born like middle 60s. So I mean, kind of just like, I don't know what that's like because I didn't experience that. I left Cuba when I was 2, and you don't know anything when you're under the age of 10. And then I lived in Nicaragua, and I got here to the United States when I was 4. But I always knew, like,
wait, hold on, because I'm interested in that part. I'm assuming your parents wanted to get out of Cuba somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you
my uncle, my
bit?
dad's brother was already in the States. He was in Miami, and pretty much he paid for all 3 of us to get out. So that we got here in 1997. 1997, I mean, gas was under $1, and my parents don't have any formal education because they couldn't get education when they were in Cuba. So like, it's not like they were able to bring some kind of paperwork here to try and get some certification or some kind of job. My mom got to the US, she was like 7-8 months pregnant with my brother, so she couldn't get a job. We didn't really have anywhere to go to live. We lived in my dad's aunt's house, and my dad just started working. As soon as we got here, he was in like some kind of like political refugee, like camp, prison type of thing for a few months. He got out and started working to pay his brother back. So, little by little, like, honestly, I could say that my dad and my mom together have accomplished the American dream. Nice house, fence, pool, healthy kids. Like, that's really all I can look back at now as these videos that I'm seeing, because they finally have internet. They finally have a means to get out everything. Granted, no one's ever like gone to the streets and like protested and done what they're doing before, as big as it is now. But all that stuff that you're seeing, all those buildings, all those old cars, the police beating up kids, shooting kids, taking kids out of their houses, like, that's just been going on for who knows how long. And it's all finally being brought to light. And I mean, I'm just glad, because all I can think of is the sacrifices my parents made. They left their parents there in Cuba. They didn't know what the hell they were going to do here or even how to make a life. And I mean, they made the most out of it. And I just kind of look back that, and like, I started thinking when I was watching this, I can't remember the last time I saw my dad sit down on the couch and watch anything on TV, just because he's always working, always working. And the other day, granted it was Sunday, but this man was working on Father's Day, so it doesn't matter what day of the week it is. He just sat down on the couch and watched this kid. I wish he knew English, because I would like reach out to him to try and have him on the pod just so he could better explain everything. But this kid was, man, he was going in, and he was just sharing videos that people were sending to him about just everything, like all the violence out there. Like, it's bad, man.
The YouTube thing you sent in the chat?
Yeah, that live video.
Oh, dude, I watched that
Panama
for like 2 hours.
Bro, he was live for so long. Like, they knocked him off of YouTube. Off of Facebook, because they didn't want him sharing that. And the American media and all that shit wants to twist it in some kind of way that they're protesting for vaccines and protesting for whatever the fact may be. But they don't care about no vaccine, bro. Like, Cuba was bad, but COVID made it like so much worse. Now that the government is using COVID as an excuse to like stay in your house, to do this, to just repress them even more. And dude, they shut off their power. Like, there's a joke that says that the power doesn't go out in Cuba, it just comes back on. It's bad, man. Like, they ration out the food. Any kind of government that like goes out there to try and help, the Cuban government takes it, and instead of giving it to the people, they just sell it back to them, and they just make living terrible, man. Like, it's ridiculous out there now. People are going crazy, bro. Like, there's this video of some dude, he just lost it, went into his building, killed a bunch of people, set it on fire, and jumped off himself. Like, it's it's nuts. I mean, like I said, Cuban people have been going through that for a while. And I think what really made it even worse was them not accepting the US dollar anymore, because that's how they get everything they need, because all their relatives are here in the United States. No one goes from Cuba to Europe or whatever. They go to Miami. It's really what it is.
I was looking at the monetary stuff, the kind of the conversion rates. What do they call it? Is it like
they have one that's called CUC? Yeah, CUC, yeah.
And then an average Cuban family, I think if you translate it to dollars, I think it was, you can correct me if I'm wrong, makes $15 US a month.
A month, yeah, if that. Honestly, they take everything you have. Like my grandpa had like goats, cattle, all that shit. The government just takes all of that. Like you have no freedom of anything. You try and speak out against the government, you're going to jail, and your family's probably not going to see you again. And there was like, a bunch of reports, like pretty much like anyone with like a bullet wound, like it was just going straight to prison, because pretty much that just means you're revolting or protesting against the government. So they're not going to give you any kind of aid, and they don't really have anything to fight back with. Like they don't have any guns, like, they're over here making like planks with like nails and things with nails, and all they have is rocks. They're throwing rocks at the police. Like, might as well do something, but I mean, it's ridiculous. And my words, whenever I talk about Cuba, I always feel some kind of way, because I left there so young, and I feel disconnected at times, just because how blessed I am that my family left me. And like when I see my cousins and shit, like I sometimes feel like out of place talking to them, because I don't know what I'm going to talk to them about besides, hey, how's your day? How's everything going? How's school? That's it. Like I can't talk to them about what I'm interested in, or, I could just listen to them talk. That's cool.
Right there.
But
that's it.
It's such a disconnection, even though we're pretty much the same age, that it's mind boggling to me. But yeah, I kind of just want to go ahead.
Sorry.
You're good. I just wanted to read something.
I swear my dog was about to getting the kid into the box. I was about to make a loud noise. I don't mean to derail that sensitive conversation, but I had two things. One, your parents, and you hear many stories of parents that have done that. I can't imagine to myself, and I know you've all heard it, and I've heard it from people all the time, that especially in this country, they're like, this country's getting crazy. I got to get out of here. Right. But if you really think about that, that's kind of bullshit. You still, and then you hear stories like your parents, and they came to the realization where they had to make a choice to get out of there. If they did not, they believed in their heads probably that they most likely, even you and your brother, probably wouldn't be alive today.
Yeah. Right? Or I'd just be one of those people that you see on these live videos right now doing whatever.
And so I can't personally, because I've never felt that. I couldn't put my mind in that place of having to come to that realization. So it's incredible to me that your parents did that, came here, and like you said, the American dream is exactly what your parents did. That's what the American dream is.
Yeah.
It amazes me. Sorry.
You have a second point?
No, you can go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, the only thing I could add on it, and I've been usually with these either pray for a country, and I don't know too much about, I don't know enough to speak on the Cuban situation. I'm one generation removed than Fort is. He's second generation. I'm third generation. I'm Cuban as with Puerto Rican. So I wasn't able to hear, and I want to learn more from him. That's why I haven't said anything in 10, 15 minutes, because I want to learn as much from him that I wasn't able to learn from my grandparents on my mom's side, that I can still learn from her. She has limited information that I'm sure Cubans probably wouldn't share with their son and daughter, because, they're so big on moving forward education and being strict on them. And my uncle and my mom had a great life because they sacrificed so much. So Fort knows this. My grandfather went to school with Fidel Castro, and during that whole era, whatever year that was, probably in the 30s and 40s, and he was fortunate to come over here, and that's where my life. But that's kind of all I know from it. I don't know any other details. That's why I'm trying to inform myself and learn more about all of the kind of what's been going on for what 70 years, 80
Almost,
years.
yeah.
Like it's been going on this long, the same. What's going on today was going on 40, 50 years ago. It was just, obviously we could get into the whole political during the 60s and 70s embargo and all that, but we won't. But there's been a huge disconnect. We couldn't be physically closer to a country without being so far away from that same country because of the political warfare that we've had. So it's unfortunate. I don't have much to say other than that, where I have roots to it, has roots to it, and I'm going to continue to listen and understand things, because I don't speak on anything I don't truly understand, whether it's sports or political or culture. So that's kind of what I got.
There's a good movie that kind of breaks a little bit down about how when the communists came into Cuba and Batista was leaving. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's called The Lost City with Andy Garcia. And man, that movie,
I'm about to watch it. I love Andy
I remember
Garcia.
when it came out in theaters, like it didn't come out in theaters like in Boca where we lived. So of course my parents wanted to watch it in theaters. So we like drove to watch it. And I mean, my dad and I, like, we're pretty emotional people. Like, we cry a lot, and it's just, I can't really control things. Like, I'm trying to hold it back right now, but I have never seen, I have never seen a grown man cry so much. Cause like, he lived through that. That's his whole life. That was my parents' whole life. But that's a good movie. If you get a chance to watch it, definitely watch it. It's a little bit longer than normal, but it kind of breaks things down. And before
I cry all the time. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, before anything, I kind of want to read something that my cousin wrote, and she kind of broke it down really good. So here goes. It says, imagine living in a country where singing songs about freedom will land you in prison. Imagine living in a country where the government decides how much food you're allowed to buy, and most of the time it's not enough to feed your whole family. Imagine living in a country where you decide to eat the food you yourself grow on the farm, but get sent to prison and tortured because that food only belongs to the government. These are the realities of communism. These are the realities of trading your freedom for government security. I humbly ask you to share the atrocities that have been happening for 62 years. The world needs to see this. Social media is a powerful tool. As a Cuban American, you often feel a sense of helplessness and guilt, all because your parents were able to make it and give you a better life while some of your family are still stuck on the island. As a Cuban American, you are brought up to love and adore freedom. You're constantly reminded of how privileged you are and living in the land of the free. Cuban Americans are standing together in solidarity to make their voices heard. Just 90 miles south of our beautiful Florida, people are oppressed, starving, and risking their lives by saying they want basic human rights and freedom. My people are dying. The reality is all Cubans have the same exact story. I could tell you that my family came to the U.S. with absolutely nothing and risked everything to leave the country that was literally starving them of food and basic human rights. You could talk to another Cuban in another part of the country and their story will be the exact same. Cubans want freedom. Cubans love freedom. And I mean, just pretty much how she laid that out. Of course, it resonated with me because that's my cousin. So I know what her family did. I know what my family did. And honestly, like 98% of Cubans I've talked to, that's their same story. And I'm lucky that I was able to leave in a regular way, in a plane, go to another country and come here. There's people that, I mean, they fucking turn boats into, I mean, they turn cars into cars, bro, into boats. Like how insane is that? And they don't have shit. Yeah. And they're still doing that.
People visit Cuba and the first thing you always hear, well, when it was kind of legal to do it and all that, was it's so beautiful. It feels like none of the times have changed and you're going back in time. And that's all cool when you hear it. And I've heard that for years. And then when you really break it down, you go, that's not good. They're not progressing. And that's the first thing I thought about when this all happened was we all knew this was going on for as long as it has been. Yeah. And now it's to the point where, like Ford said, technology's there, social media is there, and hopefully some of these, I know they're protesting or doing as much as they can because maybe they see in the rest of the world in the limited resources that they have to be like, it may not happen right away, but we could do something that might land us in jail. Some of us will die, but long term, it could be worth the risk. And
Yeah.
it's a beautiful way. I don't want to use the word beautiful, but it could be when the people are united and trying to do something, whether it means their life.
Yeah. It's all beautiful what you said, Ford. You know, I feel for your family. I don't know how to feel because I've never experienced that, but I hope something happens. What I do want to say is when you see stuff, I've been thinking about this lately. When you see stuff like what's going on in Cuba right now, and then you start to think about that, and you start to really deeply think about it and think, wait a minute, there are humans, same as us, out there in other countries that are going through all of this, yet we in our country complain about whatever you might complain about, and we also say that, you know, we're here for people, and I'll even go as far as saying even religions that say all people is, you know, we should love and care for all people and all this stuff, yet we continue, as it's not just America, it's any country out there, to allow people in other countries to just suffer, and no one does anything about it. And so when you think of what's going on in Cuba, you think of places like North Korea, you can think of certain parts of China, the entire Middle East, Africa, all the suffering, the amount of suffering that is happening in the world. And you have the major power countries, America, Russia, China, you name it, England, doing nothing about it. So we willingly allow humans around the world to suffer, even though we do have the resources necessary to
100%.
end the suffering.
Yeah.
It's there. We have it. We have enough food. It's a distribution problem. And the fact that we allow this to continue to happen is, you know, it's almost disheartening in a way. You know, it makes you rethink, like, wait a minute, everything is bullshit. Everything is political. You know, everything,
really
you know,
accurate.
And then the second thing, I'm going to stop talking about it because it's, you know, I have no place to do it, but is if you want to also know what's truly I learned this a long time growing up. I learned to question everything from everybody and find out, you know, yourself, or go to the source, right? Find the sources of the truth. And if you want to know what's actually going on in Cuba, to the Cuban people, don't listen to the media or anything else of what they're telling you.
Yeah.
Go talk to an actual Cuban. I'm sure they will know somebody who maybe is there, has some ties there, and then do your own research and understand and study what's going on in these places before believing all the BS that other people tell you.
Yeah.
You know,
and I'm glad you kind of just mentioned like basic necessities. Like I remember when I was in Cuba, I remember my grandparents boiling water just because the drinking water isn't drinkable. And people here complain about like, oh, I don't want to drink Dasani. Motherfucker, like if you don't drink that shit and shut up. And like hot water, people complain, oh, water's not hot enough, I can't take a shower. They don't have that there, you know, like
it's crazy.
Talking about like, oh, I can't, my Netflix isn't working. Like the other day, I was so pissed off. Granted, I need it for work, but I was so pissed off. I was like going crazy because the router at my house broke.
Yeah, dude.
And like I'm watching this video now the other day about the milk that they give to Cubans, and there's cockroaches and shit there. And motherfuckers are bitching about they don't have their oat milk at Dunkin' Donuts or whatever. Like it's just like, I don't know. That's just made me want to like sit back and realize how lucky I am with a lot of things that you just take for granted.
It's why first generations work so hard when they get here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it gets lost down the generation.
Right.
I saw my mom like sit down
agree.
And just lock in, and she was writing a poem about Cuba and everything. Like it's just all the unity that this has brought, like with my parents and like other Cubans that are here. And I mean, my dad and my mom worked so hard to become American citizens, and I'm glad that they did that before I turned 18, because I got it automatically. I was able to become an American citizen without having to do shit because my parents did it for me. So, I mean, I don't want to get long-winded or keep talking about this. I've posted more on Instagram than more stories on Instagram than I've probably ever posted before. But I mean, it's just, the thing is, it's so close to us. It's 90 miles from Key West, and you see those people always posting those pictures, southernmost point, like that's literally like an hour and a half on a boat ride. It's 45 minutes on a plane from Miami, and that's just how nuts it is. So
any last words on that, Ben?
No, I just you know, I don't know. It's sad.
All right. So we wanted, if you guys skipped ahead.
I don't want to end on that. I don't want someone to sound by me and said all he said was it's sad. It's sad, but what I really mean is the Cuban people and all Cubans are in my heart. I'm thinking about you. I wish there was something that I could do in terms of, I think of people like Jeff Bezos or rich people and just people in power. And, you think to yourself, like, you have so much power. Why aren't you doing anything? It makes you think, like, what if I had that much money, what could I try to do?
Well, then it turns political. You know that. I know that you're asking a great question, but we all know what really is the answer to it. It's they have a hand that feeds them too. You know?
And the fact that, let's say at any United Nations meeting where they talk about whatever they want to talk about, climate change, whatever, the fact that ending human suffering is not the number one topic that they talk about, and anytime they meet shows you all you need to show, that it's a system designed to keep people oppressed.
They have no basic rights, nothing. Like what we know as our 10 amendments or whatever doesn't exist there, Bill of Rights, anything like that.
I took a look at the Cubans import-export stuff today and was really looking at that, and you look at all the stuff that they export and where they export it to, and you're like, oh, this is a money thing. This is the money thing.
There's all no these money countries in Cuba, man.
All the money is leaving. It should be there.
Everything. And I mean, that last thing, honestly, like, I mean, all you like influencers, I don't know if any influencers listen to us, but like any big time people that talk about how much they love Cuban women, Cuban cars, Cuban coffee, Cuban food, all that shit. Like, yo, come on. Like, you can't repost a simple thing. It takes less than a second. I'm not asking you to do anything, but if you're going to be talking about that, how great that is, how much you love that, then there's two sides to everything. Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Cool. So if you guys didn't know most of the stuff, like, we're learning from each other. Obviously, this hits home for the podcast for some of our guys. And also, we're talking to, it's our podcast. We get to talk about what we want, how we want, as long as we want. So that's a big topic for this week. And we wanted to leave off with that. And obviously, as we make this transition up, maybe a little bit more uplifting, maybe you don't listen to the podcast for news or what's trending now or political stuff or what's on in the world, and you listen to us for sports fun and us to get angry at Kevin Durant and LeBron James. We will now turn to that because we can play both sides, and that's what makes this the reason why I like to do the podcast, that we can do best of both worlds or worst of the worst worlds sometimes. Team USA is playing right now. It's going on right now. They're up 20 plus on Argentina. They lost their first two games that didn't mean anything, exhibition games. They lost two games in exhibition over the last, I think, like 40 years, which is a crazy number. I don't know if you guys watched the games. I really haven't, just the highlights. It seems that it's a new team gelling together, don't have a lot of practice time, and sometimes it takes a few games. No?
Yeah, that, and also like we're if you watch the NBA, you know very quickly that not every player in the NBA is born from this country.
Yep.
The NBA is a global game. These teams that we play now are not the teams that they were 20 years ago. The NBA has grown everywhere. Basketball players, people who are good at basketball aren't just born in America. They're born everywhere, right? It's not, and so we blow it out of proportion all the time that we think we're going to go in and just kick everybody's ass. And even the last Olympics and before that, that's just not true. That's just clearly and evidently not true anymore, that it's going to be a walk in the park. Do we still have some of the greatest players in the planet? Yeah. But it should be treated that way, just like you would with any team. It's going to be very competitive. A lot of the players that they're playing against on these teams are also, they play with in the NBA.
Right. Exactly.
So
yep.
They're not playing bumps. And so it's also exhibition. People freaking out about it. I don't think it's personally that big of a deal. And I honestly don't think it's that big of a deal if we lose in the Olympics or not either. Do we want to win? Yeah. But it should be more about fielding players and fielding a good team than, like we should have went out and destroyed these people. Have you looked at some of the names on the team? Have you looked at some of the, look at your top 10 players and the guy who just won MVP, right? Not an American.
Yeah.
And so
the last 3 MVPs, if you want.
Exactly.
Giannis won it 2 years in a row. So that's why I'm saying 3, but like last 3 years.
So those are my thoughts on it. I don't even think it's that big of a deal. I think it's funny, actually. It's important to get smacked in the mouth, so you understand. You can
sometimes it's healthy.
Yeah, and so you get checked and know, like, hey, wait a minute, I got to actually look at something. I'm this entitlement thing in my ego. It's got to go.
It's all relative sometimes, right? All
Right.
relative.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a huge deal. It's exhibition games. I feel like also when teams go up against United States, they play their best game because they know that we're that top tier, at least supposed to be. And I mean, some of these players just got off a playoff run. They've been playing the whole season. So they're gelling together. U.S. players probably don't play as much as other teams in other countries probably play together, but like you said, it's a global game now. Some of the best players are not from the US. So I mean, it's exhibition. I don't really care about it. I didn't watch the games. I'll tune in for the Olympics, but it is what it is at that point. There was a funny tweet that was like, if you said the 5 players on the US were on one NBA team and the 5 players on the Australian team were on one NBA team, you wouldn't say anything less than a sweep. So that kind of that kind of puts it in perspective. And I also think that the way the game is officiated has affected them a little bit. I've seen some of those tweets and some of those videos, which is the NBA's fault and the NBA refs and how the game has changed over the past years. Plus, we don't have LeBron. We don't have Steph Curry. There's no Klay Thompson, so some of our GOATs
best
and
of the
plus,
best,
exactly. Best of the best aren't playing. And I mean, it doesn't matter. Will they finish first, second, or third? Most likely top 2, but teams aren't no joke anymore. These other countries, it's an international game. And they want to beat us because Americans say they're the best in everything. So if they can say, hey, we beat y'all in basketball, they're going to take that. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it is what it is. For sure. They'll figure it out, which they're up by 20 right now with 3 minutes left. So I'm not tripping.
So you want to go backwards. So with a great weekend of sports, we'll go backwards to, obviously we jumped on IG Live on what day was that? Saturday night. Yeah, Saturday night. It's been a crazy probably 3 days for me, with whether it's sports, whether it's talking about sports and going out. So we'll go backwards and then go forward to throughout the weekend was talked about Messi versus Brazil. They won 1-0. It was pretty much one goal, held the lead, and then won. Messi. I mean, it was beautiful to see the genuine his teammates' excitement for having him won, because every time they're in a final, they think about getting him one, and it's selfless and selfish at the same time. Obviously they want to win, but the way they put the spotlight on Messi was great because they're fully aware more than anybody that these guys don't come around too often, and it was great to celebrate with them. So what was your thoughts about either the game or the celebration or kind of the quotes from the game, because that was beautiful too?
I didn't watch it, but I'm happy that he won. I think it just helps cement, and this is argumentative, but his GOAT status, whether you think he is or not, but he definitely deserved that. It's always great to see somebody like him that's never got that, get that. So I liked it.
Yeah, I was happy for Messi. If there's one player that deserves some kind of team accomplishment, it's definitely him, at least international wise. Regardless if he didn't score or not, that Di Maria goal was freaking amazing.
Yeah, I saw that. That was crazy.
Yeah, early too. So I'm glad they won. It was a good game, physical game. And I think the funniest part of it all was how they were just like how Ray was saying, they were throwing him up in the air in that little huddle, just celebrating. And then kind of after the fact, Neymar just showing kind of who he is as a person, sitting down with them in the locker room and just talking with Messi because they're former teammates. And he went on to say that Messi's the best in the world. Messi affected that tournament a lot, like whether it was with his passing, his assist, his goal scoring, free kicks. It just goes to show what a complete player he is. And it was a good tournament. The Copa was good.
For sure.
It was overshadowed by the Euros because the Euros were amazing
phenomenal,
as well. Right? Yeah, soccer, like I was saying on the last episode, soccer is the only sport that can get people united like that. And
it's growing, bro. I didn't think a game like soccer could grow, but I'm knowing and hearing people that watch soccer that I didn't know they did, and I talk to them weekly, if not more. It's a sport that continues to grow. It's the antithesis of what MLB is right now.
Right, yeah.
Right,
so I'm glad a lot of younger kids are playing soccer, and there's more MLS teams or like lower tier MLS teams like coming out, and more cities are adapting it because it's a good sport, man. It's different. It's not what we're used to, and there's nothing ever wrong with that or change. And more sports, the better.
Yeah, the Euros definitely got me into it more. You can definitely, I felt it over the past probably 3 or 4 years that soccer's definitely like growing big time. And I think a lot of that has to do with younger generation that will help drive that forward more. So,
and we'll lead into that. My weekend, the end of my weekend on Sunday I was Italian for about 12 hours of that day because
me too.
Maurice, who's a huge fan of the pod, he was in New York. He flew out to New York on Friday, and he sent a group chat a text and was like, "Oh, flying out for a quick flight to New York, be back in time for the game." I seen what time his plane was leaving, and it said 9 a.m. And all I said was risky. And I didn't want to put it out there, but I maybe have. But I know if you are leaving it up to an airline and a lot of variables going wrong, you have to be here. And obviously, he planned to watch it with a few of his friends and obviously his family. You don't get many opportunities nationally to celebrate these. What happens when I wake up on Sunday morning is his flight got delayed. He was on his way to the airport, went back to New York, but guess what? Had a tremendous time. He was in my Manhattan, making friends, a time I'll never forget. And I went to his house to watch it with his family, and I got great videos. Took a lot of pictures, took a lot of videos. So like he felt like he was there with his family because I know how special it is. But man, what a game. I was locked into that. His dad, Antonio, was intense about it. I've never heard that guy curse, and I've known him for a few years, and he was enraged, a psychopath, I would say, borderline. And it was great because it made me get anxiety, and I felt I had jerseys on, all that. That was an intense game. Go up early, England, and the confidence in the room was still there for the Italians, and they did exactly what I thought they would do. Was England parked the bus. They tried to milk the clock a lot, and it turned on them. So what was your guys about, whether it was watching the game, the after, the memes, because you got a lot of Italian memes in there. That was great.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the whole experience of Sunday?
Sunday, I took my mom to brunch early. We went to Louis Bossi, so I should have switched my pick and rooted for Italy, but I was going for England, and I kind of got back home after brunch, and I wanted to go in the pool because it was a nice day out. So I took the TV out to the back, and I just propped it up there, had my MacBook plugged in, like Ray says, clicked on some sites, searched a little bit, and just happened to find the game. But man, it was a great game. I missed the first goal because it happened so quick. I turned it as soon as I turned it on, it was 1-0. I was like, all right, let's get it. I just don't understand why soccer teams, like when they, especially if you go up so early, why do you slow down? Like just try to score again. Because if it's that early, chances are the other team's going to score because now they really want to score. But I mean, that game was, I don't have any particular rooting interest for either country, but I was locked in watching that game as I was in the pool, and those PKs, man, like I said, I'm not from either country, but I was locked into those PKs, and it felt like I was either English or Italian watching that, how much pressure I felt. So I couldn't imagine English people or Italian people with that, because soccer over there is everything.
Yeah, I know. I watched it with our brother Nick. I went over to his house. He cooked us a nice Italian lunch. It was
You got fried eggplant. I seen that, right?
Yeah, we had fried eggplant, some cutlets, some
Nice.
pasta, bread. I mean, it was
Fantastic.
He was
like,
right? That's awesome.
He said, make sure you're hungry.
Yeah. This dude was wrapped in his Italian flag. He was ready to go. You know, the Italian national anthem, it starts, and then that first goal hit. And when it hit, I just, it got quiet. We were like, whoa. And it just felt like I could feel almost the energy from Nick be like, oh man. The good thing is it happened so fast,
So much time.
after like the 5-minute shock, he was like, no worries. Then if you watch that the full first half, Italy dominated the possession.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, I agree with you. Is England? I don't know. It's like they let off and be like, "Oh, we got a goal here." I'm like, "Wait a minute! Like, there's a lot
I don't get it.
of time here.
Too much time.
Understand.
And
they gave up 80% possession from then on out, and it was like, damn, you're playing with fire at that point,
right? Because Italy just kept going and going and going, and just possession, and then that would tell me like, hey, someone's going to make a mistake, and they're definitely going to break through here. And so then I felt pretty confident that Italy would score again. And then when they did, Nick went nuts. Then we went to extra time. It was kind of tense. Then we went to PK, and PK was just we did not sit down. We stood up. And then when he missed it, like I think I sent you guys the video, but this guy, the energy, the you could feel out of him, was super exciting. So I was glad I watched it with him. I'm happy Italy won. I do have a family. My uncle was born in England, so he's British. So I remember growing up watching England soccer matches with him around his house, and they were that intensity there. Yeah. So either way, I would have been happy if either one won. I wanted England to win a bit after seeing some videos of like them burning the flag in the streets and stomping on it. And I just hate that shit. Like I just hate that. It's so disrespectful.
It's normalized in Europe though. I was talking to Maurice's family and all that. I hate to use the word normalized, but that stuff, that either ignorance or racism and all that, obviously we won't get into all that other extra stuff because we went into enough social stuff, but it's normalized there, and it's really a majority feel that way. It's not America. It's not a melting pot. It's very, socially driven and racially driven.
Yeah, a lot of people are trying to get England out of the World Cup because of
they're not in Brexit, right? They're not affiliated. I educated myself recently or this week after I kind of realized, because I forgot that they're they're in the process of not being a part of the European Union anymore. So they're going to be their own. It would be Europe and England, not England is with Europe. And that's a process. And I don't know the likelihood of that, but it's, a lot of variables.
That's weird. I don't know how I feel about that. And I also don't know how I feel about PKs. It's so weird to me.
It's a lottery, bro.
Like, playing 120 minutes because you're going to play those extra 30 minutes after you played 90 minutes. And then it all ends on essentially 5 kicks. Like, if you win, like, it's such a great joy. But if you lose, like, it's so bad. Like, no, you have to, like, you go back and, like, I'm sure those English players are looking back and they're like, that thing is going to keep them up for nights just thinking what they could have did different if they would have kicked it the other way, if they would have kicked it a little bit higher. Like, it's such a shitty way to end such a great game. And I mean, I don't know how else you end a soccer game, but I'm not a fan of PKs, especially in a championship game like that.
I get what you're saying, but I look at it this way, and this is why I like it, is because nobody, even the soccer players, don't want to end that game in a PK. Right. Because it is so crushing if you lose that way. Mm-hmm. Which would should put more emphasis on when they're playing the match. Extra like, we got to score a goal here.
Exactly.
What I don't like is that the extra time is 30 minutes. It's just like, dude, make it 10
what do you think?
max.
More time?
No, less.
Less time. So you're saying like make it 10, 15 minutes and like, hey, you guys got to figure it out, or it's going to penalties. And then you could always make an argument where it's like sometimes you feel confident just going to PKs and not losing an extra time, because England parked the bus, like we said, for 88 minutes. And then they paid for it later on to play with fire. But there is strategy that goes into it where it's like, once you're up in a big game, you kind of sit back.
Kick up the intensity. Have your normal 90-minute or, with extra time match. And if nobody scores there, make a 10-minute extra time where it's just balls to the wall. They're like, every player's like, we got to try to score here because they don't want to get to PKs. And then, so they just go crazy for 10 minutes. Then if they don't get it, then they go to PKs and it ends that way.
The only alternative,
puts more emphasis on the, trying to score more goals. And we say that as non-professional soccer players,
right. Of course,
they're like, do you know how hard it is to score a goal?
Who are we to understand what they go through? Yeah. But the only alternative I think to that is hockey's done a great job of being very progressive, I think, in their sport. They're a traditional sport to a sense where they've been around a really long time, most than other sports that we have in North America. And they go to 3-on-3 in overtime. Yep. They do that in the All-Star game. They're the first one to go away from East versus West. They're the first in America, and I talk North American, to go to recalibrate this seeding when 1 versus 8. Now you don't play the next team, you redo it. So I always give it to NHL, and obviously it's not something that me and my friends talk about often or watch, but I will always give credit to the NHL of being unafraid to progress forward and reinvent themselves. And I guess the only thing to do in soccer other than PKs, I guess that could be the third thing you do. You do extra time, you do 5-on-5, and then you do PK. I don't know what the formula is, but obviously it's not going to stay like it is forever. So it's going to progress. But I mean, I think soccer is the same way. They continue to evolve and continue to make, the aggregate thing is going away. That was around for, I guess, 5-10 years or something like that. So their willingness to change is there. So we'll see. But PKs, if you're a casual fan, PKs is fun. If you got no skin in the game, it's fun to watch.
Yeah. Right. The only thing I was going to say was like, they could start like taking players out the game, make it like 9-on-9, 8-on-8 as time goes by.
Somebody leaves
every minute someone leaves until you got like 1-on-1 and everything's like a breakaway.
Right.
Like, that's pretty much PKs at some point.
That is true. It's as lucky as that.
Yeah. So it would be kind of fun for that, but who knows? I mean, there's so many things you could do, but
you get caught offsides, they get to add an extra goalie.
Yeah. Make it even harder.
Let's make it crazy.
I'm glad that all those games, even like the group stage games, were all pretty good and they were nationally televised. Because, like I said, I mean, I usually only watch soccer every 4 years for the World Cup, and I'll tune in every now and then for El Clasico for Real Madrid and Barcelona. That's about it. But I mean, soccer's there all the time. It's such a great game. And after that, I'll probably definitely be tuning in more and trying to pay a little bit more attention to it, because that's the only way it's going to get bigger. People paying attention to it, tweeting about it, posting about it. So it's good that it's here in Miami now, and more big cities are normalizing it and bringing teams to there to try and help, because it's a great investment.
For sure.
Anything to end soccer with, Ben?
No, nothing.
Team coming soon, right?
Yep,
You got your hats
I've
on the way.
chosen.
You're gonna do like you're gonna pick your college, your university.
I'm
We're gonna
excited.
do a live.
I got my gear ordered. It's not necessarily going to be a hat, because I figured out some teams don't even have hats. But
Can we do it on? Will it be ready for?
We're gonna do it live.
Can we do
live.
it? Can we? Oh, I was gonna say, can it be ready for episode 25? Because 25 is a big one.
Oh yeah, it'll be ready for episode 25 for sure.
Okay, so you got 2 weeks.
My shit should be here hopefully by the end of this week.
Nice. I'm excited.
Only us know, but we have a lot of things planned. Episode 25, which is in 2 weeks from today, or whether we record on a Monday or Tuesday, whatever. That's gonna be a big episode, 25th anniversary. We're gonna have a big guest on it. Hopefully, if everything pans out as it should, we're gonna kind of recap everything that we've done over the last 25 weeks, 26 weeks, and really give you guys a good quality show.
Sure.
And then the kind of main card of the weekend. Where am I? There I am. UFC 264. I was at a party. We IG lived, which was fun, and we get good feedback on that, so we're gonna try to do that once a week. 264. Did I say 265?
Yeah, 264.
I said
264.
Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah. So, what did you guys think about the fights? A lot of. I mean, I was watching it on my iPad with a lot of drunk people around. I was locked in. I was having fun, but I was also locked in. I was like, hey, guys, I'm working. You know what I mean? I got to be prepared. I can't say I watched the fight and I didn't. So I made sure I had a mix of beverages, had some fun, but also had my iPad handy. What did you guys think about the card? O'Malley. You had was it Hardy?
Burns.
Burns. You had the obviously the main card. So you guys take it from here.
Yeah.
Oh man.
O'Malley. Sean O'Malley, man, that guy won. He fought the Terminator and won. And so that was good.
For real.
Dude, I love Sean O'Malley. I love when he fights. I think he's a star. But that dude, I mean, I had a little party at my house for it. And so we were watching it, and all of us, even the ladies, they were watching it with us, and they were like, oh my God, I've never seen a guy get hit this much. And I saw today, Sean O'Malley did it, and he was on Pat McAfee. And so he did an interview today. And Sean said that the guy, I can't remember his name, he was like, he kept talking shit to him after he hit him. He was like, I'd hit him like 7 times in his face, and he'd be like, you a bitch. And like, I hit him, 7 times in his face again. And he was like, that was nothing. And he was like, what is going on? He hit him 177 times.
That's
in the
crazy.
face. In the face. Because he had like almost 200.
Specify that.
He had over like 200 significant strikes, which is unheard of in UFC.
Which I'll also give him credit. I've seen on social media that he showed up to an event or some like kids camp or something like that, like the next day or 2 days later. Yeah. So I do give him credit for that. That's
and I
means a lot.
Sean won, but I appreciate all the comments you've seen about the guy you fought. They were like, what a warrior. Mm-hmm. Even Sean was like, that guy, I mean, wow.
He gained a lot of fans for sure.
Yes.
And he took that fight on 11 days notice too.
Oh, did he? I didn't.
Yeah, 11 days notice.
I forgot about that, or I wasn't.
And 11 days notice to get punched 177 times in his face.
And another thing that my brother, who's a lot more into UFC than I am, he was telling me that like people are going to think that dude's like on O'Malley's level. He's not like,
he's not. No.
You know, that it was nuts. I was kind of upset that Herb Dean called the fight with like 30 seconds left or whatnot. I get it. You don't want to see that dude keep getting hit, but it's already that far into it. He's already been getting hit the whole time. 30 seconds could be a lot of time in UFC. I know he was looking a little bit more wobbly than whatnot, but I'd rather go to decision. You're still going to lose, but now you got a knockout. So I mean, that I'm glad that got a fight of the night, because that added an extra, few $1,000s in his pocket. So deservedly so.
Yep.
I don't think I've seen someone get hit that many times. And
Never.
like you were saying, just like glance it off. My cousin was like saying like he was just moving in his head in the directions where the punches were thrown. He got hit so much.
Yeah.
Instead of going the
It was just
other
like
way.
he was just like this the entire time. Because he kept getting hit in the face.
That was wild.
I mean, Sugar showed out. He did what he was supposed to do and then some. So
and we did criticize him last fight or 2 fights ago for not going too hard when the guy was down. So maybe this one he was like, you know what? I'm gonna lay back. I'm gonna be cerebral in my attack, and I'm gonna be smart. And that's what he did. He knew he had him in the stand-up game, so he didn't have to do too much. Which I give him credit, because as a fighter, sometimes you need to adapt and evolve.
But as you said, Ben, that kid is a superstar. I hope he fights someone for the title and he gets it, because
he said
he's good for the sport.
Yeah, he said today that, he said his hands are sore still. But he said that he's, he thinks he's good for another fight this year.
I believe it.
And so the rest of the card, I'm just going to skip right to the main event, because the rest of the card is what it was. But then obviously Poirier McGregor.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Shout out Tai Tuivasa, Bam Bam.
Oh yeah,
for knocking out Greg Hardy.
Yeah.
For real.
Big left, slept him, dropped
Gone.
him.
A nice celebration after.
Was drinking the shoeies. Fuck whoever put hot sauce in that shit. That was gross. But Tai Tuivasa is, I don't want to fuck with any fucking South Pacific motherfuckers, especially if they got tribal tats.
Nah,
don't
tribal?
do it. Like you see a big motherfucker with a tribal tat, just turn around and walk away. Maybe even run away.
Because
even though they look
probably
big,
did it.
they're athletic as fuck.
They probably did it the old way too, where they take that little wooden handle and the tap and they just tap the needles in it, and that looks super painful. I mean, so.
But he's nasty. He's nasty.
Yep.
I like Tai Tuivasa a lot.
Poirier McGregor, I'm gonna keep my comments short. McGregor's done. I mean, he's just not what he is anymore.
No, number 4. You think he Poirier declines and moves forward?
No, because I think if McGregor's obviously going to be out for a while,
at least a year.
Clean, at least a year. When he does come back, I think if he wanted to fight him again, I think Poirier would do it just for the payday, simply.
Right.
But beyond Conor getting his leg broke, he was clearly losing. Dustin was clearly beating him. And I just don't think Conor is the old Conor anymore. And I think it's time to move on. Dustin is clearly,
you look good for the little bit, the 4 minutes and 58 seconds that we've seen of it.
Did your stream go out right before it happened as well, or was that just mine?
No? Yeah.
Okay.
Were you legal or illegal?
I'm not
off the record.
But yeah, like right a little bit before that happened, like my stream like froze. I refreshed it, and I just see Conor sitting back like this. I'm like, yo, what the fuck just happened?
Yep. And then and so Dustin to me deserves a title fight, and I've never hated Conor. I've liked him. I like what he's done for the sport and all that. But after he got beat, the comments he was kind of saying, still talking about his wife and saying all this stuff, like I just lose respect for you then. It's like, dude, shut up. You just got your ass handed to you. Like, I get it before, if you're going to do all that, if you want to take it to that level and whatever. I'm one who it's like, you can say whatever you want to me, but if you start to bring my wife or family or kids in the picture, now it's a different level.
Right.
And then now it's like at a disrespect level, and then I don't like that. And so to me, it's like, Conor, shut up, dude.
Yeah, but
I think it hurt him because he was clearly, you could hear him talking still.
Yeah.
It clearly hurt. I think it hurt his persona.
Definitely, because sometimes I I could barely, honestly, I couldn't really understand him. So like, I know he was talking straight from emotion because I feel like he changes his accent when he talks in front of the media a little bit.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's more easy to understand. And I couldn't really understand shit until you said your wife's a hoe. But but the fact that kind of goes back to what we talked about on the previous episode and what I was telling my mom, because she didn't like what either fighter said after the fight. But the fact that you get interviewed, like literally, like he's getting interviewed right after he snapped his leg.
Yeah.
And there's so many emotions flying through his head. There's so many things we don't know what was going to happen in the next 4 rounds. Like, yeah, Poirier was winning that fight, but the UFC is such a crazy sport. And his leg was already cracked before. You could see it in the video.
That I gotta rewatch it. At that point, I was lit, so I don't remember.
He came down on it twice, and then your leg just doesn't break when you putting your foot down like that. So it had a crack in some place before. But yeah, I know he was definitely frustrated as anybody would be because he was training for that for months, and he got knocked out before. So that it's just a shitty way to go out. It's a bad way, but I feel for Charlie Oliveira because now he's not going to get as big as a payday because if McGregor would have won, that's who he would have fought. McGregor would have tried and get his title back, but it's just frustrating for, Conor, who is the UFC, to break his leg like that. Like, I mean, I was live when Chris Weidman broke his shit and it wasn't the reaction that is. It just goes to show what Conor has done for the sport. And like I said, it's frustrating. It's a shitty way to end how pumped up and how hyped up that whole card was. For sure. It was anticlimactic.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But shout out for having a packed house in Vegas and all the fans because it was electric.
Yep. We're back, baby.
It really was.
We've seen it with soccer.
Yeah, we're back.
We've seen it with UFC. Baseball, they're in Colorado. They look like 85, 90% at this point. So hopefully we never have to talk about this. WWE, AEW came back last week. WWE's coming back. SmackDown on Friday is going to be a full house in Texas. So we're back. No more talking about it. We're going to move forward.
Donald Trump.
I don't want to hear it either. Yep, I know. I don't want to hear it either. Like if anybody mentions like any type of COVID to anything to me, I'm like, get out of here.
Well, they had an outbreak in Japan, so
I had to get tested actually yesterday, and I got my results back. I'm negative, and I've been negative for a year and a half. But I probably am either immune to it or I've had it a few times and never knew. Anyway, I'm going to rattle off some quick topics that we don't have to go into too much detail, just to kind of mention Ohtani, the alien, a crazy home run derby. Pete Alonso won the home run derby, back-to-back champion. Obviously, the ratings, ESPN was hoping he'd get through that first round, so ratings could continue to go up. But he still had a great showing. He does so much for the game that if he lacks at one thing, there's 3 other things he could do really well. Stephen A. Smith comments about him, about the language. I watched Stephen A. today on First Take, and he did everything right. He addressed it right away on social media. He addressed it in person. Anything to add quickly on those baseball topics, quick?
As he's leading off right now.
Oh, yeah, as he's leading off the game. Yeah.
Game just started. I definitely wanted to see him go deeper into the home run derby. He put on a show. That first round was nuts with him and Juan Soto. I don't think I've seen the derby go back like that ever. I mean, granted, they've changed the rules and whatnot, but I was watching it, and I mean, my dad sat down and watched it with me, but Pete Alonso, man, that dude is literally like, he didn't take a break, and like every freaking swing, like shout out to buddy that was pitching to him because he was placing it right where he wanted it, and every shot was 475 plus. Like it was just, he was going nuts. Yeah, he really was. It was a good derby. The fans were into it. It's just good. Baseball, home run derby is good for the sport. They need to have more than one a year. Like they should probably have one every month. Pick different players, because that's the only thing that's really going to get people back into the sport. Chicks dig the long ball. So
boom.
I told my wife last night, the home run is probably the most exciting thing that can happen in sports in terms of the environment. If people are there when it happens, You know, it's one of the things that people love. The home run derby, I thought was good. Definitely, I thought Shohei, he was pulling the ball at first. Really, he was definitely pulling the ball. And this BP pitcher at first really was like his BP was pretty bad.
For the record, he didn't take BP before this weekend all season. So I will give him that little bit.
I totally agree there. Pete Alonso he came out there and that dude was just going to crush the ball. The Trey Mancini stuff was good. I was disappointed in Joey Gallo.
Yeah, I'm
glad I thought Joey Gallo was going to do better there. The one thing I want to stress is that it was terrible coverage by ESPN. I don't know about if you felt it, but I thought the coverage was terrible.
I watched it in Spanish.
They're very awkward. They don't do a good job production-wise on that stuff.
The dude from KC, Salvador, they like talked over him the entire time and just had a split screen when he was hitting the ball. I'm like, that's kind of messed up. Then you couldn't see where any balls were landing. There was no tracker on any of the length of them. Like that one was 520. I'm like, show us it. You didn't see the balls go out.
Yeah.
I thought the coverage was annoying. And Stephen A, about the comments there, I thought it was so. Yeah, I'm not going to hate on the man because I don't think he meant it that way. I didn't see his comments today either. But Shohei is clearly the face of baseball. I was telling my wife this. If you want to know who the face of your sport is, go to the middle school or elementary school that's closest to you and look at the jerseys that the kids are wearing.
Right, exactly.
Or just ask them simply, name 3 baseball players that you like. Yeah. Boom.
And kids, I guarantee if you talk to any kids, they got Shohei jerseys like crazy, Fernando Tatis jerseys like crazy.
Acuna.
Vlad Guerrero. Acuna tore his ACL, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Baseball, it doesn't care. He is the face of it right now. He's great for the sport. And who cares if he doesn't speak English?
Right.
He doesn't.
Baseball is super popular in Japan.
Yeah. He's not becoming the face of giving a speech or an English paper. Who cares?
I don't even remember Big Papi or Manny or Pedro speaking much to the media for the first 10 years of their career.
And they both are commentators.
That's what I mean.
Analysts,
it eventually
makes no
he's
sense.
23, bro.
Yeah.
Like these 3 guys I just named played till they were like 35, 36. Like it's going to come. But in today's media, you can't criticize someone for not speaking the language. But then when they do and they mess up or they misspeak or they get translated wrong, you also criticize. So you can't have it both ways. And I've been saying this a lot in topics I'm discussing with human beings nowadays is you cannot have it both ways. Yeah. You can't criticize and then double on that criticize when they do the opposite. So
I think it's also like super bad with baseball because it's not like basketball where the US players or US born players are the best. That's not true. Baseball is you have Puerto Rico. It's still us, but they speak Spanish. You have Dominican players. You have Japanese players.
Multicultural. He speaks like 5 or 6 languages for sure.
You have Cuban players that were able to get out. Like you have Mexican players. Like the US is not top tier. So I feel like his comments, obviously, I don't think he meant them in a bad way, but it was very close-minded, and it just, it just goes to show that he does a lot though for ESPN. Like he was on there for the UFC. Stephen A. Smith doesn't know shit about the UFC. So
he tries,
but like kind of just like stop working him so much. Let him relax a little bit. Let him stick to just his show and that's it.
Right.
But it was just like, I don't think he meant that how people are taking it, but also it's not cool to say because Ohtani's the face of the sport. And that's why baseball isn't what it should be. Like you have people like Stephen A. Smith, who probably hasn't watched an Angels game, saying what he's saying.
Yeah.
He was probably only watching him in the home run derby or his highlights. So
also, Ohtani was born in Japan. He wasn't and grew up there. He didn't grow up thinking, oh, I'm going to go be a professional baseball player in America. I should probably learn English. We asked him to come here when we found out he was good.
Yeah. Don't they have to wait 7 years? Is that still active? I know they had to wait 7 years.
think-
Like
No,
back in
I think they've
Ichiro days.
adjusted the rules to make it less strict
Yeah.
about that.
They had to play
where-
like 7 years in their professional leagues before they can even think of coming here. I
Yeah,
think
now they just buy
Yeah.
out the contract or
Okay.
something. Yeah.
that's a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, it's just crazy. And, maybe he's learning. You could,
Yeah.
you watch him communicate with other people. It's dumb. I don't even want to pay it. It was a dumb comment.
Yeah, no, that's I wanted to bring it up because if we don't talk about things for 5, 10, 15 minutes plus, I at least like to mention it so people get their little
Sure.
fix.
Yeah,
I
agree.
We'll put on Bet the Fort and then kind of finish off this episode 23 with some other good trending topics that I know our listeners love to hear. Bet the Fort was 4-0 last week.
Yeah, clean
4-0.
sweep. I called it.
Clean sweep. He called it. He's confident. Up until last week, he was 22-17, and now 24, something like that. And now he's well over 60%. So everybody that was saying fade the Fort, bet the Fort's back. Give us your picks for this week.
To be honest, it's another week where I just kind of had a lot going on, thinking about different things. I totally forgot to prepare for this. The only thing I got right now, I'm taking Bucks in game 4.
Okay, so Bucks game 4.
Bucks game 4. A lot of people were talking about like this series is over, Suns in 4, blah, 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 blah. After game 2, I saw Giannis go off for 41 and 12, and he didn't have help from anyone else. So game 3, I said it on the live, Bucks win, not going to be close. They controlled the game. Their role players showed up. Drew Holiday showed up. Chris Middleton showed up. So I think they tie the series, which will be good for them. Giannis probably has another monster game. I think this game will be a lot closer. Suns adjust a little bit, but I'm going to take Suns. They cover. It's only -4. So
I'm going to help the Bet the Fort.
give me something.
For baseball, we got Red Sox, Yankees.
Good series.
We got let's see some good ones. Padres, Nationals. I'm gonna let him pick because we're freestyling this. We got Rays, Braves. We got Astros, White Sox, which are top 3-4 teams in the AL. We got Dodgers, Rockies, Angels, Mariners, Cubs, Diamondbacks. Which out of those do you like? And when Bet the Fort does baseball, we do series. We don't do games because that'll give you a big kind of impact on it. So you want to pick some of these Yankees, Red Sox? Anything you see here is a
I'll probably take the Padres over the Nationals. Padres, great team. I mean, they kind of been slacking a little bit lately, but I really want to do Yankees, Red Sox, but I'm not going to do that to Ray just because how the Yankees.
No, you can pick the Red Sox because we will.
Hey, I just told you to take the Diamondbacks over.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we should have went for a sweep over the Astros and we showboated. We were up 7-2 going into the ninth. This is a statistic that I seen sent to me by AP because we have done nothing but over the last 30 to 45 days is vent to each other and text each other negative things about our team, the Yankees. Is that I think the rest of the league going into the 9th inning with a 4-run plus lead are like 96-2. Guess who has those 2 losses? The Yankees. So it's like what are you gonna do? It is what it is. Do you want to pick the Red Sox over?
No,
the
no.
Yankees?
I'm gonna take I'm
you
gonna
need to
take
do
the
3,
Padres.
so.
And then what's the
Basketball.
Astros and White Sox? I'm taking White Sox. Fuck the Astros.
I like that.
Fuck the Astros.
White Sox.
Yeah, White Sox are
Sox
good
all day.
Yeah.
Oh, White Sox all day.
Because he's wearing a Bears hat.
Yeah, that's right. We're not going to go into NBA finals that much because obviously there was so much sports that series. Suns dominated the first 2 games. Giannis scored 3 40-point games in those. Right, he scored every game. He scored 40 points.
Is it every game? I don't know.
Not the first
sure.
one, the last 2.
Yeah, no.
The last 2.
Yeah.
Sorry. So he's balling. I mean, there's only so much one
it's
player
him,
can do.
Shaq, and Bron with back-to-back 40-point 10 rebound games or more. That's
I think he drops 40 again tomorrow.
I think so too.
He's going to need to do it the rest of the series if they want to win.
They don't have anyone to guard him. They don't have anyone to match up with him until he gets to the paint, which Ayton, but I mean, he could kick it out to whoever. And in Milwaukee, those role players are going to show up. They might not show up in Phoenix. Phoenix role players will show up, but Middleton is a bucket. I don't like Chris Middleton because he always kills the Heat and they're rivals, but I don't have any rooting interest in this finals, and I've been watching a little bit more closely. Bucks have a good team. They just Giannis just has to be aggressive, which he has been in the last 2 games. So I think that even the series is probably going to go 6 or 7. So it should be good.
For sure.
All right. And then we'll kind of go into the last trending topics. What I have down from myself and Elliot is Drake's date at Dodger Stadium. That was pretty nifty. He goes to LeBron James' son, Bronny game, picks up a chick, goes on a date.
She's the mom of one of the players.
I read on her Instagram bio, she's an entrepreneur. She's a mom.
Hey,
look,
like
like that's what all of them say nowadays. I'm an entrepreneur and a mom. How could you argue with that?
I can't even blame Drake for that because, I mean, some of the angles on those videos, she looked really nice.
Some of the angles.
Yeah.
If I had the capabilities that Aubrey has, I probably would have done the same thing. Not probably. I definitely would have done the same thing. He's just kind of making it hard for us regular men to. He's setting the bar real high there,
Real high.
pal. Like, come on, man.
Right.
Give me something to work with,
Yeah.
So
That's where you quickly realize I'm not Drake.
I'm not Aubrey.
Yeah.
So he's setting up. Oh, Harden and a little baby in Paris. That was a wild situation.
Right.
I think that happened after we recorded last week that I wrote down. But man, what the like that?
I don't know. I got the video, cut it, edited it, and like
Saved
saved it on my
saving it
computer
for a rainy
forever.
day.
Them walking out of the hotel room was the funniest thing. I immediately quoted that. I was like, yeah, they're freaking bugging.
Oh my God. It's so obvious. My wife and I were laughing so hard about it. James Harden, this is what it looked like to me. And you guys would know this, but anybody who's been in a situation with their buddies, maybe hanging out in a room, doing something, right? Then all of a sudden you get this urge like, dang, I'm hungry. And so to me, it looked like they were doing that.
They were just doing normal everyday stuff.
Yep. James Harden was like, dang, I'm hungry. But they might have been playing video games or something. And James Harden clearly was just either wearing basketball shorts and nothing else.
Yeah.
He couldn't find his clothes. So he grabbed anything he could see.
The first things that were on the floor.
Yeah. And he came out there and his face, he's like, and then if you isolate and pause and look at little baby's face, he's like.
Yeah, that's like one of those videos where you just have to like pause it and rewatch it and just watch each of their emotions and their body language at the same time. Cause they're both like looking at the people and looking at each other and they're like, did you do this? No, did you do this? Like, what is going on?
It's how I feel like every time I walk into a party, and I'm that person that I see the meme like, oh, if I invite you to a party and you ask, who's going to be there, like, don't ask me again or something like that. Right. I'm like, first of all, that's my first question because it was like, if I invite you to a party, don't ask who's coming. Like, that's the first question, no matter who you are. And then my second question is what time, because I'm showing up an hour after.
Right.
I'm not showing up at what time. So anytime I walk into a party, it's usually an hour and a half, 2 hours after. And that's exactly that video of Lil Baby and Harden is exactly how I feel walking into a party when they're already lit. And I'm like, oh, I probably should have drank more before I got here.
Right.
Like that shit.
I know. I asked all the time who's going to be there. I'm not 21 years old. I'm at the age where I'm going to select who I want to hang out with. So I'm going to ask you who's there. Because if there's somebody I don't like there, I'm like, you know what? I'd rather stay here.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
That was
a video is something that Twitter especially, or the world, will never let those two forget. That'll be
absolutely not.
10 years from now, that'll be played, and France, free little baby. But you also got to know the rules of the country.
Yeah, you gotta know the rules. Absolutely.
So the Washington football team name, they wanted to go away from any Native American kind of roots or affiliation, which was very smart on there. This is the only smart thing second smartest thing they've ever done. First one was to get rid of the R word. from their team name. The second thing was to say that we don't want to affiliate anything with Native Americans because who knows, another 50 years from now, it might get criticized again. So the word warriors was thrown out the window immediately. There's red tails that have to do with war. I don't know why you would pick that. There's red wolves that have to do with Native American wolf origin. Are we all agreeing on Washington football team name? Like they should keep it because that's what I'm getting the vibe on social media is they just keep the name and no nickname.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't understand what like the name warrior. Like, why does that have to be identified with?
It does get identified with Native Americans because of us, of Americans. We've attached warrior, savage, things like that. These are words that were not put into our elementary textbooks, but they were, or they maybe were. So I know warrior, savage, stuff like that were put into calling Native Americans. That's what I know.
Right. But why? But if we look at, let's say that we look at the Roman Empire, right? And we call them warriors, or maybe they're people, they're warriors. That's what I mean. It's like the whole term warrior. I think if you take that name and then identify it with some sort of logo that could have some representation,
I agree,
to Native Americans, that's where your problem is at. But I'm not saying that I agree they should call it warrior. My thing is like, I get why they're doing it. It's just, to me, warrior isn't a bad word or isn't a bad name. It's the context and how you use it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the Golden State, nobody's gonna cause a fuss over the Golden State Warriors, but it's because they don't have an affiliation or they don't have a blemish on their record. The Atlanta Braves have gotten a lot of turmoil over doing this. And if you're watching on YouTube, you see what I'm doing. Obviously, Florida State Seminoles do that. And I think the Seminoles will eventually have to not do that anymore. Yeah, and it's only because it's backlash. So I think it's I agree with you, Ben. I also agree with the side of just staying away from it. Let's not add on to this. So we're talking about it 10, 15, 20 years from now.
Yeah. I'm cool with Washington football team.
Me too.
I think it's different.
Yeah, me too.
The fact that you don't have an actual name or actual mascot is pretty cool. And I mean, it's Washington.
I mean, the New York Mets are called the New York Metropolitans. That aren't a thing. It's just
New York Knickerbockers.
Knickerbockers, which are pants. It's not even pants like jeans or like khakis. It's actual like 1760 pants. Like that's insane.
Right.
No one says what kind of knickerbockers are you wearing.
Nobody even knows what a Knick is or a Knicks or a knickerbocker is. Right. So it's like, who cares at the end of the day? It's all about tradition. The only other topics I have is the Dallas Cowboys being our Hard Knocks for the third time, I believe. I think the only other team to do it twice is them. Did it twice. The Bengals did it twice. If you look at the list of teams that have done it in the last 20 years or so, Bengals, Dallas, and I think that's it. Or maybe there's another team that have done it twice. And I'm like, or three times. I'm like, I'm confused by how they choose this. The Jets is the best season I've ever seen. Personally.
And I know this because of being a Bears fan, but they actually ask they narrow down to a little small group of teams and then they communicate because a few years ago they asked the Bears to be on there and we denied it. We declined it.
Yeah, it could be a distraction that you don't want for your young team. That makes sense.
But I mean, Dallas Cowboys are all about Jerry Jones. It just has Dallas Cowboys written all over them. Yeah. When I heard it, I was like, go figure.
Yeah, they should have like Dallas Cowboys Hard Knocks and then someone else Hard Knocks because that's really what it is. I mean, it's America's team.
Maybe ESPN will do that. Maybe ESPN. I don't even know what is it called. Wake up now, please wake up.
Yeah, I don't
know. First wake, whatever it is, 8 o'clock. I try to take it out of my mind, but they love the Cowboys. Space Jam is coming out in 3 days. I will try to be. I'm not going to watch that movie sober. I'm going to watch that while probably ingesting some things that grow cow manure on it without saying it. Yeah, some some things from the earth, because that's the only way I could probably enjoy it, because I know it's gonna be horrible acting. It's gonna try for social awareness things that probably don't belong in a cartoon like that. But are you guys it's on what, HBO Max it's gonna premiere on, so most people have that?
Yeah. I'm gonna watch it too. And yeah.
Nice.
Honestly, I'll probably watch it just because it's something to watch, but they did release Space Jam NFTs, and you can go online, sign up, claim one for free. And then you get 2 for free pretty much, and then the third one is only $2.99. You can buy one a day. It's on nifty.com, something like that. And the marketplace doesn't open for another like 2 weeks. So I was a little bit more excited about that. I was able to get a rare one. There's about 92,000 Space Jam NFTs, and there's only 500 rare ones. So I got a rare Tasmanian Devil NFT.
Sweet.
Yeah, if I get some pretty good money for it, it's sold. It's gone. Whatever I get for it, because it was free or $3. So it's out of here. But yeah, I agree with Ray. I think it will definitely have some kind of like social stuff awareness, but I mean, it's just good to do it. I definitely not going to be as good as the first one, not even close, but I feel like it should just happen with like top players in the NBA. It's just more money, more stuff going on. That's probably why Braun went to LA, but I'll be tuning in just the same as you guys are. Might even go to the theaters and watch it. Who knows how I feel?
That's basically it for as far as topics. If you guys have any topics or DMs or shout outs that you guys kind of got, then go ahead.
Let's give a shout out to my wife, Emily. Her birthday is Friday. She's going to be her last year of her 20s. And so just want to say happy birthday to her. And then also shout out to Ray, for becoming
I'm just kidding.
His face. Great.
No, shout out to Ray and Bree for getting engaged.
Nice.
Shout out Ray.
I wasn't there,
Shout out, Ray.
but it was surprising, beautiful. I'm sure it was nervous, and I'm happy for both of you, and I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, Ray had a great time at the Marlins game. Did on 7-7, 11-11. Ray had a great time. Bray had a great time. Bree had a great time.
Yeah. I'm just going to say this from my perspective as a married man. I think it's the greatest thing in the world. She's my best friend, I think, that in the world. And so I couldn't, thinking about going back to a previous life when I wasn't married, I could never do it. I'd be like, sometimes I look at Fort and I'm like, Fort, I'm like, man, and I feel for you. I want to text you, like, hey man, you good? You good?
Yeah.
Like,
Fort's so lonely.
I've lived that life. I can't go back.
Yo, that's so funny. Like, that shows how close we've become, because if you said that 5 episodes ago, Fort might be looking at you kind of crooked, like, fuck you mean by that? But it's like,
oh, man,
that's love.
Great.
I love
that's
that.
Great.
Yeah, not in a bad way. Just
of course. Sometimes I look at Fort and I'm just like, what the fuck?
What are you doing?
That's great. That's awesome. What do you got for us?
Yeah, shout out what Ben just said. Bree and Ray, that's awesome. That's great step in their lives. I mean, before this podcast, like, I knew Ray, like I had hung out with him a few times, but we never had like a relationship or a friendship that we have now, because we talk on a constant basis in the chat. I've been coming here for the last few episodes, and they definitely have a great relationship it's a rock, it's something to be admired, and just the way they go about everyday life is something to look up forward, and something that people should want to do in their lives. I'm Mr. Lonely. I'm taking any and all applications. So if you watch us on
hit up
here,
Elliot, he'll pass a message on.
I got a middleman and all that kind of stuff. Got to make sure you're got the right qualifications for it, But Just shout out to, the Cuban people. That's it. I mean, I'm not going to get into it. We already got into it, but that's pretty much it. I mean, it's a great movement, great thing that they're doing. And I hope that after 60 plus years, it actually goes somewhere and something happens to it. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I think this was a good way to lead off the episode, and that's about it. I mean, that's all I got. Shout out my family, shout out all my cousins, everything like that. I got nothing else.
Cool. Follow Fort Training.
Yeah. If you want to get if you want to get yoked.
If you want to get yoked for 2021, 2022.
Naturally.
Naturally. That's a good point.
No IG influencer shit.
Yeah, I followed it. The best thing about it, I will say, and give your brother props, is his what do you call it? His his comments, or like his posts, what he writes. It's good.
Informative, right?
Yeah.
It's
I like
detailed.
it.
He takes the time out. It's not like, come look at
it's
these.
not the fucking bullshit
normal
type thing. It feels real. It's just like, it feels like to the common man.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
I mean, he's not like a personal trainer or anything like that, but at the end of the day, he studied that in school. Like, he went to school for 4 years for it. And what I've seen him from, I mean, he hasn't really even been working out that long consistently as he is now, but the drastic change I've seen in him is good. So if you follow whatever he's giving you and do the right things, you're going to see progress, which I should probably do, because
we all should probably do. Absolutely.
Hey, I mean, I work out every day, so that's
well, you're better than us there. But,
I just don't work out like him because I'm an old guy.
Yeah,
I do a lot of stretching.
A lot of Pilates. Last shout out to Ebony that did my braids ready for. Let me try to get this on YouTube.
I'm jealous.
I'm jealous.
There you go.
Look at that. That should look good, bro.
Got that Masvidal flow.
I know your head was hurting.
I like it.
Oh yeah, it's a tight. I can't look at my toes right now.
Ben was like, Ray was like,
right. Yeah, did you sleep all right last night? Did you have a headache?
Yeah, I kind of I had a toss and turn to figure out, but it's better now. It's not as tight as my hair grew from the last time I braided my hair, which was like 10 months ago. So
I would hope
hair's long. Grew. So that's 23. Gravy couldn't join us today, but he'll be back next week. We'll have the group, and you guys prepare yourself for episode 25. We're gonna do a lot of interviews after 25, in 25 for you guys, and just kind of change it up. Any feedback you guys give us, we're definitely listening to. So don't hold back. If you think we suck, let us know. If you think we're awesome, let us know what we can do more. That's important to us.
Yeah, don't say shit like if you're not like giving us feedback or anything. Don't ask motherfuckers to be on the pod if I've never seen you repost it. We don't want to hear that nonsense. If you repost it once, cool, that's it. Then maybe you can get on it, but it's a long list. It's too many people asking us for it. Show some interest, and we might show some interest back.
Yep.
Point. Episode Michael Jordan next week. Kobe Bryant. 2-4. Peace.
Peace.
He's going to score here to keep England alive.